Cześć! Dzisiaj przeprowadziliśmy niesamowitą rozmowę na żywo prosto z Botswany o zachodzie słońca. Naszym gościem specjalnym był David Foot, który nie dość, że jest legendą konnych safari, to na dodatek jest przewodnikiem z niesamowitym doświadczeniem i ogromem wiedzy na temat afrykańskiej fauny i flory. Poruszyliśmy mnóstwo ciekawych tematów, w tym m.in. jak wygląda praca i przygotowanie takich koni w sercu dzikiej Afryki, przez natknięcia się i bliskie spotkania z dziką przyrodą, no i po te najbardziej niebezpieczne, ciekawe historie. David jest naprawdę człowiekiem wartym posłuchania, który ma mnóstwo ciekawych rzeczy do opowiedzenia, mnóstwo historii i mnóstwo wiedzy, którą może się podzielić. Więc jeśli nie mieliście okazji uczestniczyć w tym spotkaniu na żywo, to zapraszam Was teraz do dużej części nagrania tego spotkania, gdzie możecie posłuchać jego historii i jego wypowiedzi i odpowiedzi na pytania. Zapraszam.
That's right.
You got it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, so my next question that I was actually very curious about, because I know that not everyone respects the nature and the wilderness in the way that you do. I was very impressed going on safari of how respectful the whole trip was, the whole towards the animals, the alive ones, their remains sometimes, and in general the wilderness of Botswana. Do you think that's something important? And also, how did you learn about that? Are there a lot of people following those rules of respecting the nature, or do you think that the tourism there is getting a little bit in the way and less respectful?
Well, I think it's very important for anybody who's a safari operator to respect the wildlife, but I suppose like in any industry, you're going to have people who have ethics and some who don't. For me personally, I think it's every day I'm out there, I feel there's an absolute privilege to be out there in what is the wildlife's area, which is, you know, let's face it, the whole world used to belong to what's out there. And therefore, you know, because of that privilege, we really should, you know, respect it. And that to me is, you know, obviously trying not to disturb it, you know, minimize your disturbance, keep quiet as much as possible, and respect their space as well. Having said that, you know, as I say, there are going to be operators who aren't, but you know, and you know, people will question tourism or how much impact is tourism having on the wildlife. But the sad reality of the world these days, if we want these wild spaces to continue to exist, then they have to earn money, and that means tourism.
Of course. Well,
I have one question. What was your worst experience during the safari?
The worst experience?
Worst experience, not the best one.
Well, the worst experience is normally one of the guests.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Is it about the guests or about just
wildlife
kind of experience during a safari with animals?
Well, the worst experience for me personally is you know, no Polish people.
We are good. We are good.
yay!
We are the winner.
You know, you get obviously all types of people signing up on safaris. I mean, to be honest, with the horses, since I'm really focused on the horse safaris, I think people who ride horses are good people, and they're ready for an adventure. They're not too precious about, you know, what's around, you know, what they're going to sleep in, even though we believe we provide a very comfortable but simple camp. So it's very different to dealing with, you know, your general tourist on safari who goes to a very luxurious lodge and has high expectations of the service. For me, coming on safari is all about what's out there. It's about watching and listening and, you know, smelling, and it's not about what's inside your accommodation. It's about, you know, the luxury is the wilderness.
That is true. It's definitely not an experience for everyone, and you have to be ready for a real adventure and a little brave, because at the end of the day, you're not only in the wilderness when there's so many dangers around you, but also you depend your life on a horse that you're sitting on, which is actually an amazing but also a scary feeling. So actually, I'm a little curious, because we know that horses absolutely have better reaction time than us. They have better instincts than us sometimes. Do you ever have situations in safari where you're going and you rely more on a horse's instincts? For example, you wouldn't notice something in the bush or in the wilderness, but you depend on the fact that your horse maybe noticed something and there might be danger. Is this something you sometimes rely on?
Oh, we rely on it all the time. You know, you absolutely, we all know the horse is incredibly alert to everything that's going on. I mean, just the other day, you know, at the moment that, you know, we've had really good rain, so the bush is very thick, the grass is very long. And just the other day, the horses all came to a dead stop, ears forward, wouldn't move. And, you know, you look and you can't hear anything, you can't see anything. You know, it's like, okay, there's something here. And everything's frozen, the whole tableau is frozen. And then you think, okay, well, we need to back off from here. So you start to turn the horse, and with that, 7 lions explode out of a bush 10 meters away from you.
Oh shit.
So, you know, you know, if it wasn't for the horse, we'd have ridden right on top of those lions. So yeah, we really do rely on the horses. I mean, I remember years ago saying to my horse, I want to cross this river channel, and the horse is refusing to go across this river channel, and I'm like, 5 minutes trying to get it across the river channel, come on. And then bam, up comes a hippo right in front where I wanted to cross. Now the horse even knew this hippo was under the water there. I'm not sure how, but
Great, yeah.
so yes, we really rely on them, but obviously they also rely on us to make sure that we don't push them into too much danger. You know, we don't deliberately push them into danger. It's, for me, it's absolutely crucial that I don't want my horses to get frights. I mean, obviously there can be times when it happens, when something very unexpected happens, but I don't want my horses to get a fright, because, you know, if they get a major fright, then they could lose their nerve to do this job. And as I've been learning all about in the last 3 days, of course, it's all about trust between you and the horse.
Level one.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I'm sure that this experience when you rely that much on each other teaches you a lot, not only about the wilderness out there, but also about horsemanship and in general horses' behaviors. So is there anything specific that that you've learned from your experience on a horse safari, or something that surprised you, or something in horses' behavior that I guess you learned on the way?
I think the most major thing I've learned, and this is a bit embarrassing, is that in 1992, I had no idea that horses had such a homing instinct. And when I've had horses run, we're out on safari and they run home 50 kilometers at night. That's a little embarrassing when you have to tell the guests in the morning, I'm really sorry, but there's no horses here today.
I'm sure you're not the only one here who learned about horses' home instinct in practice. I'm sure that happens a lot. It happened to me for sure when I was left alone by the lake and the horses were chilling by the house eating grass an hour away. Okay, so since we're in the horse topic, I am very curious actually, because I didn't get to ask you that when we're on the safari, but when it comes to preparing horses for such an adventure, that when I'm posting about the adventure in safari, I get a lot of questions from people. How are those horses prepared? Is it mostly themselves preparing because they live in the area in the wilderness with the dangers? Is it anything specific that you do in the training that is crucial for having a horse who can actually handle an adventure like this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we try to have horses that are as responsive as possible, but the best way for them to learn is the experience. It's the same for any of us out in the bush. We can all learn from a book. As a safari guide, I could learn from a book, but it's only when I'm out there having the experiences that I'll really start to understand how it all works out there and how the wildlife is hopefully going, will react. So for the horses, fortunately now we have a very experienced string of safari horses, and when we want to bring in new horses, we'll bring in 1 or 2 at a time, and they will ride with the herd, so they get that feeling of confidence with the herd, and we'll always keep the herd between them and any dangerous animals, elephants, hippos, buffaloes, lions. And it's fascinating. You'll see the experienced horses will look at the elephants and they'll say, okay, those elephants are relaxed, and they will, they recognize the elephant's relaxed behavior, and the horses will relax and start grazing. But the new horses will be at the back, heads up, ears forward, watching. But to be honest, as long as we don't have any nasty experiences, within a week, those horses, really fit into the safari string.
Okay, so for example, when you have a young horse who is just experiencing for the first time, let's say the safari, does it take them a long time to tell the difference if it's a lion from the bush or jumping from the bush, or is it just a warthog running? Because I remember situations where I was sitting on a horse and I saw something running from the bush and I was like, oh my God, we're gonna die. But the horse was like, oh, chill, it's just a warthog. It's just a pig. So would you tell they learn that with the time, or is it their natural instincts that work?
Well, I think that their natural instinct is very strong, but particularly if something happens very close by. So a warthog coming out of a bush 50 meters away, let's say at speed, a horse will raise his head and go, oh, it's a warthog. If the warthog comes out, which I had a few months ago, literally under my feet, well, that horse nearly dislodged me.
Okay, well, that's a great answer. Actually, I wanted to get away from a horse topic for a second. We're gonna go back to that. But one thing I also remembered you telling us was how you support a lot of times young people from local communities, people who sometimes work with us on the safari, for example, who prepare the whole thing. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's a very interesting topic.
No, I'd love to, because it's something that's very dear to my wife and my heart. First of all, reality is there is no future for the wildlife of Africa unless the people of Africa believe in it. And believing in it means, one, being educated about it, but also receiving benefits through income. So we firmly believe the best way of contributing as a safari company is through education. And so every year we sponsor 4 people from the local villages to colleges in South Africa, and 2 of them go to a tourism college for a year, and 2 of them go to what's called the South African Trackers Academy for a year, and that's where they learn the dying art of tracking, which of course a lot of the indigenous people of the world used to be brilliant at, but it's a skill that's been lost, but very important skill. So we do that, and I think we've sent now 33 students there. And funny enough, Andy was just showing me something I think you put up on Facebook or something. I don't know if it was today, and I saw in the background a groom leading a horse. Now that groom, T-Boy, is in South Africa now, and he's actually on a program called Rhino Guardians. So he is actually on a year's program specifically designed to protect rhinos.
That is amazing. That's beautiful. From what I remember, we haven't seen a single rhino in our safari. But we definitely heard a lot about them. That's a beautiful mission, and it's good to know that. I was wondering what's going on with all the people that came with us, and T-Boy was absolutely amazing. He was a great help. Say my greetings to him when when you get a chance to talk to him. So thank you for that. Okay, so a little bit back to the safari itself. Can I ask you if you have like a moment that is the most memorable moment for you, or maybe a situation, maybe a feeling? I know you have years of experience, and I'm sure you've experienced so many beautiful moments, because if we got to see so many things that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life in a week, I can't imagine what you've seen there in years. So I'm wondering what would be your most memorable, most beautiful moment when it comes to horse safaris?
Well, it is pretty tricky, as you say.
There are
mean,
hundreds or what?
yeah.
Are they?
I mean, firstly, I'd like to say is that, you know, every time I see any wild animal, it's special to me. Especially if we're, you know, out in a wilderness and we, you know, there's just us, there's no vehicle noises, anything like that. But yeah, I mean, obviously there are some that stand out, and probably somewhere really quite pretty up there at the top would be, we were out in the not in the Okavango, funnily enough, but in the Makadikadi salt pans, where neither Andy or yourself or Aldona sadly have been, because it's a very special place, which is another area we do horse safaris. And the Makadikadi salt pans are in the heart of Botswana, and they're the biggest salt pan complex in Africa, in the world. 12,000 square kilometers, which sounds like a miserable place to ride, but it's actually spectacular, because you have these never-ending salt pans, but on the edge of it you have these miles and miles of yellow grasslands. And there's the second largest zebra migration in Africa takes place through there. And we had been out sleeping out, and I'd said to the guests, you know, so I'm going to head back to base camp today, and we're going to get up and we're going to be on those horses before sunrise. And we are going to get out there and go through the yellow grasses and watch the sun coming up over the salt pans. And of course, in the salt pans, flat. So you're literally seeing the sun come up over the horizon. And just like at night, you see the stars from horizon to horizon. Absolutely extraordinary place. And so we had come out into these yellow grasslands. There's nothing. It's just empty grasslands, empty salt pans, and Kalahari bush to our right. So this is great ground. We're going to have a wonderful early morning canter while we watch the sun come up. And so we set off, and we're just in this lovely slow canter going. And as the sun peeps up, what I hadn't realized that was in the bush were all these zebra herds, and they heard the thundering of our hooves. And of course, when they hear, any animal hears the thundering of their hooves, they think something's running, maybe we need to run. So these zebras started streaming out of the woodlands and joined us until we had over 3,000 zebras all around us. Unfortunately, someone was filming it, and for 6 minutes, and the horses, you could feel that they were picking up the pace. They were loving it. We were loving it. And we went for 6 minutes now at a fast canter, surrounded by these zebras. So I'll definitely never forget that moment, but there are many others I won't forget.
I'm sure that sounds like an actual dream. Sounds unbelievable. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm still imagining that moment, and that's beautiful. That's great. Okay, so I have chills from your story. So that is
Maybe
a
anybody
beautiful...
have the question? Carolina, because you told me this is one of your dreams to go on safari. Carolina, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, and yes, it's been my dream since you sent me the picture. It was like 4 years ago when you were in Kenya, I guess, and there were some animals, and you sent me this picture, and I was like, oh my God, I want to go there one day. And later, when you sent the pictures from Botswana, from the safari on horses, I was speechless. And going there, it's sorry, it's on my wish list, so I hope one day I will go there.
We hope you'll be here one day too.
And sometimes I wonder how close can you get to the wild animals on the horse, because it's hard to judge from the picture.
Yeah, well, every situation is different, and obviously every species is different. I mean, to be honest, we don't want to go too close to any lions. So
No?
the safari
You
and
sure?
the safari 2 years ago with Andy, we did come round a bush, and the lioness was so fast asleep, my horse almost stood on it. But fortunately,
Oh,
fortunately, the lioness got as big a fright as we did and ran away in the opposite direction. But
Lucky
again,
you.
you know, for elephants, for example, a lot depends on the wind, and it can also depend what mood the elephants are in that day. But you know, if you are in a position first and allowing the elephants to approach you, and they're moving in a direction, they're not going to walk on top of you, and the wind's quite strong, so they can't smell you, because one thing about elephants is very different to horses. They don't have any, their eyesight's very poor. You can have elephants pass very close to you, but you know, if the wind changes, then you need to move away and just keep the distance. But we get pretty close to quite a lot of things.
wow, that sounds amazing, really.
I think you should talk to Darek, who was the first, one of the first nights. You remember when he was shouting in the morning because he just had this visit. It was during the night, but he had this visit of 2 elephants just next to his tent.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, well, that happens obviously a lot at night. We're in a wild area, and you know, the animals walk through our camp, which is of course we have to then really look after the horses at night. So we have a night watchman with a fire all night long.
I actually have one question about that because I have to tell to everyone listening, I never thought I could feel this safe in the wilderness, in a safari on a horse. And that's all because of David, obviously, who shared a lot of knowledge with us, who was always aware of our surroundings. And David, your knowledge impressed me very, very much. And everything that you knew and how you could judge the situation just by, I don't know, giraffe's ears, or by the wind, by the direction, what we have to do. So here's my question, because I'm guessing there's no such a thing as horse riding safari guidebook on how to know those things, and I'm sure you've learned most of them with experience. But that knowledge you have about all the animals, is there also, are there any like books that you've read and you got a lot of knowledge from there? Are there any people who were inspiring to you and you learned from them? I'm just very curious because you had a lot to say about every single fauna and flora piece we've seen on the way. So I'm just wondering where all that knowledge came from.
Well, you know, Andy had a night staying with us. I'm not sure if he saw my library. Did you see my library?
Yeah, I saw it. It's
So
a huge one.
It's a huge library, and it's just about all wildlife books. So no, I mean, obviously we read a lot, but I was very lucky when I was a youngster to work with some of the pioneers in the safari industry. And you know, those were the original days when, you know, you had to be an adventurer and a pioneer to go and establish yourself in these areas. So yeah, a mixture of that, you know, great mentors when I was young, inspiring guys, and then obviously reading a lot. And you know, I mean, of course, for a safari guide these days, they've got every app in the world or can Google anything, so it's right at your fingertips. 40 years ago we had to work a bit harder to get the information. And then yeah, of course, experience. And I mean, you know, every day still out there, you know, I'm learning, because especially on the horse, because the wildlife, even though we think it's predictable, and we probably say for 90% of the time we can predict it, 10% we can't. And so you're then having to learn how to react to that.
Of course. Um, Okay, so I'm sure that after hearing all the stories and most of the people who are interested in listening to this are also interested in going to safari, either if they've been already, then I'm 100% sure they want to go again, because this experience is just amazing. But if they've never been, I'm sure that's their dream. So what would be your advice to a person that has never been on a horse riding safari? What would be your one best advice to someone who is planning to go or maybe dreaming about going?
Start saving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's true. That is a good advice.
I think if you dream about a safari and dream about doing it on a horse, you definitely, make every effort to fulfill that dream, because Africa is a life-changing experience. It's so many people say it gets under their skin, or when they get here they feel they're there at home. So it's well worth, if you can do it, give it a go.
Great
That's
advice.
true.
Yeah.
That is a great advice. Okay. I'm curious about one more thing, because we obviously see that you have a lot of passion for what you do. But if you couldn't do that, if you couldn't do safaris, be a guide, and explore Africa on a horse, what would you do, David?
Tricky question.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for retirement quite soon. I would say when I retire, what I'm going to be doing is sitting on my veranda, looking at the 3 bird baths I have in my garden, and just enjoy looking at the birds, and having just 4 horses at home, not 54, and looking after them myself and training them the way Andy is teaching me how to train them. That's what I would like to be doing if I have to give up safaris at some stage.
Oh, that is amazing.
How about
Okay.
writing some books with your experiences from safaris?
I
Yeah.
know you
is
should.
the
You
time.
definitely
Have to get
should.
someone
It's
who knows
about
have to get
time.
someone who knows how to write.
Well, I'm sure you can find someone, and I'm sure that there's plenty of people that would love to hear read your stories. I'm sure I would. So so if you do write one, please let me know. Um, and yeah, I think from my questions, that's going to be all for now. I know that there might be some more questions from people hearing. Let me also look on the questions I got online. That would be questions to you, but I'm gonna read them. So is there anyone here who would like to ask the question?
Yeah, I would like to know how many times you had to go cantering or even galloping at full speed, running away from elephants or hippos.
Or lions.
Only once.
No, with lions you don't run, right?
Exactly. You try not to.
Yeah. Okay.
The horse can make that decision for you. No, only once where we were seriously chased by a very angry cow elephant who had a very young baby. And
Okay.
we had, the good thing is you can outrun an elephant if you need to, as long as you stay on.
Yeah.
So the
As well.
horse surely can, but the rider not necessarily. Okay. And
So sorry,
also
go ahead.
wanted to know, did you have any experiences with snakes in the camp? Because that was what I was considering quite a lot when I read that you are supposed to bring, sandals or some shoes that are not really what we could expect that you go into bush wearing them. And then I did not feel endangered anyway, but the question is remembering the showers, which are the place is quite humid. So I would say that snakes would love to go there, but does it happen?
Do we see snakes?
Yeah, but in the camp. I mean, the place where you have the camp. Do they go to the shower place, or it doesn't happen?
Well, not necessarily the shower place. I mean, I think like any of the wild animals, whether it's snakes or elephants, as you know, Aldona, the whole place is open and anything can move in and out. Strangely, we see very few snakes, and that's because just our movement, our vibration on the ground, whether we're walking or the horses are walking, and the snakes sense that and they move away. Having said that, we did see a wonderful, wonderful 5-meter long python the other day.
Oh, wow.
Okay, there is the question, are there any huntings for wild animals on this area?
There is hunting, legal hunting of within Botswana, but not within the area we ride in, within the Okavango. There's no legal hunting within the Okavango. Of course, sadly, there is the odd case of illegal hunting, but there are hunting safaris in other areas of Botswana, trophy hunting safaris.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of hunting, just maybe not done by people.
Well, yeah, there's plenty of that every night.
Every night.
Every night.
Right. We got this, it's almost getting dark here now. The sun has set, so those lions and leopards, they're starting to move now.
Oh, fine. Oh,
So
watch your
better
back.
move away.
Okay, one last question, since we're talking about dangerous animals, because I'm actually also very curious. We have a African Big Five, of course, and we have rankings of most dangerous animals, but I'm actually curious what, in your opinion, is the biggest danger on a safari in Okavango Delta? It doesn't have to be an animal, but what do you think is the biggest danger when you go on a horseback safari? What could be
If we are
possible?
talking about the animals, then obviously on a horse safari, the animal that I would, respect the most and want to avoid the most and not get too close would be a lion, because obviously we are on a prey, we're riding a prey animal. On a foot safari, I wouldn't be concerned about a lion. If I was on a walking safari, I'd be more concerned, say, about an old buffalo bull or an elephant. But yeah, actually, probably the thing that we have to watch out for the most is actually the holes in the ground. I don't know if you remember those, the huge holes dug by the aardvarks. And
I do remember that one. I sprained my ankle on one, actually.
Yeah.
So I remember that very much. What about the hippos? They're sometimes considered most dangerous animals of Africa, and apparently they bring most of the accidents with people.
Well, again, there's a lot of accidents with people and hippos because it's not tourists, it's villagers. It's villagers who are competing for the same resource. So they're after water. The villagers want to collect water, or they want to go fishing, or they want to do their washing. And so they get too close into the hippos' territory. And that's when these accidents happen. But when we're on the horses, we're keeping a distance. You probably remember, as long as those hippos have deep water to submerge, then they feel safe, and we can go pretty close up to the edge and the horses can graze in the shallow water. But then if there's shallow water and the hippo can't submerge, then we keep much further back, because we're then putting pressure on that hippo and intimidating it, and at that stage it may become aggressive.
Okay, but you told me one of your horse got very dangerous.
You'll put off anybody coming if you tell them that.
No.
Yeah, let's leave those
Right?
stories for a campfire when they're already there and they can't leave.
How's your horse?
Yeah, the horse is recovering, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sadly, one of our horses went into some deep water grazing, not with a rider, but grazing, and walked in on a crocodile. So, but fortunately, he's managed to kick the crocodile off, grabbed him high up in the back left leg, but he's recovering slowly. But we have never, ever had a crocodile incident. while we've been on the horses.
That's a good message.
Well, there's a okay. Well, there's a first
I
time for
went- we went-
everything.
we've been through a lot of deep water. Yeah, tempting fate here, aren't I?
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing those stories. From me, that would be all. I see that it's getting dark there, so I don't want to keep you outside uh, because I don't want to get to see you eaten by some
Yeah,
predators
mosquito.
hunting behind you. Mosquitoes
Thank you, my
too.
dear. Thank you.
But thank you so much, David. It was so nice to see you, and it was just so amazing to hear all those stories and just your point of view on all of that. Again, it's truly amazing, and to everyone who's listening and who's considering going on that safari, if I would have that money, I would spend the last dollar to do it again. So I absolutely recommend, and yeah, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Sue, and lovely to see you again. And thank you, Aldona. Lovely to see you again. Shame, sad you're not both out here.
Don't worry. Well, you're gonna see us again. You're not gonna get rid of us that easily.
Okay, David, thank you very much. It was great to be hosted by you, and I really appreciate it. And to everybody who will listen this one, I would say to understand horses, it's not simple just to ride them. He's a great horseman. He's really great horseman because he ran not his own traveling, but he take care about the people in quite dangerous area because there are wildlands around them. But to understand horses, that's what is my touch, my dream with David, is to watch another animals for better understanding the horses. And this is the way what we prefer in our academy. That's why we talk about the dogs and other animals. And if you are here, then so many interesting actions are what you can watch. What is going on in the herd of zebra? Who lead the elephants? How they protect themselves? What kind of senses they use? What kind of hierarchy is there? Is there any difference between elephants and the horses in a herd? Is there any alpha? What is the meaning alpha, male or alpha male? How they deal to be together? What kind of communication they do to keep the herd together? How they protect the small one, the kids, and they fight each other. So to understand the wildlife, this is, in my opinion, this is the best way to understand horses. And I wish you all just to follow this one and to be with this great guy, to listen to him, because every evening among the tents with wildness around us, and David said, do you hear? The one lion is coming from the left. We're sitting on a dinner with no lights around, just stars and wildness around us. Absolutely no civilization, no phones, nothing. And suddenly David said, oh, do you hear? One of the animals is coming to our table from the back. We said, whoa, watch. And there was Haren. We turned and we saw just Haren just behind us, checking who is on the dinner. This kind of experience is unforgettable, that I wish to everybody to touch it, because then you will have Africa for all in your heart. You will come back as soon as possible. So, David, thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for coming out again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, and see
So
you.
we
So,
go away
Aldona.
because it's
Thank
getting
you.
dark.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of safari and don't get eaten, please.
We'll try not
We'll
to.
try to do
David-
our best.
David, keep my dad safe, please.
No, I just have to
Thank-
keep him under control first.
Oh, yes. Yes, please do that. Please do that.
Okay, thank you very much and have a good night. Bye.
Thank
Good
you so
night.
much, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.